Okay, welcome to the final daf of Masechta Menachos, daf Kuf Yud, and we're beginning on the bottom of Kuf Tes on the base, about 5 lines from the bottom. Tanya, Rabbi Shua ben Prachia, says Rabbi Shua ben Prachia. Shua ben Prachia was of the Rebbe of Yeshu fame. This is the Rebbe of Yeshu. Doesn't appear that often. Betchila kol oimer alei la. Anyone would say initially that I'm going to be oil you to Gedula, I will put you in front of a lion. Ata kol oimali liyered, you take me down, mimena, from that position, and the matal of kumkum shel chamim. I go ahead and pour on you kumkum shel chamim, hot water. Shol barach mimena. Shol ran away from COVID. Nechbel like Halim when they were looking for him. He was hiding. And once he became the king, Bikesh Lahargas David, he went to go ahead and kill David. So I heard Shuli Bornstein quoted Yitzut Ar. Shuli Bornstein often quotes Rav Ruven Margolis. Rav Ruven Margolis knew Shas on his fingertips, and he always brings a charifis between two Gemaras that. So the Gemara says in the end of Yavamis, if a person falls into a lion's den, you can't tell his wife that he's dead. In other words, it wouldn't be a raya brewer that he's dead that she could remarry. If however he falls in hot water in the ocean or something, then you could. And so that's what he wants to learn pshat in this Gemara. The first thing. But if you would have told me, I put you in front of a lion, that's pretty bad, but it's not so bad because it doesn't guarantee you dying. But once I was in the position of Gedula, and you want to take me down, then I'd kill you. Then I'd throw the hot water. That's the dimyan, very nice dimyan to the Gemara in Yavamis. Amalek machashisha breid Rav Chisda la'abaya. Rav Meya, I crowd Rav Yehuda, my overlay. We had machlokus yesterday between Rav Meya and Rav Yehuda, was Beis Chonya a house of Avodah Zarah or not? Said Rav Meya it was. Says Rav Yehuda it was not. Rabbi Yehuda supported his position with a pasuk. The pasuk said, "Bayomahu yiyeh mizbeach laHashem b'soich eretz mitzvayim." So you see there's going to be mizbeach of Hashem b'soich eretz mitzvayim. What does Rabbi who said it was a house of Avodah Zarah do with that pasuk who said it was a mizbeach mitoich eretz mitzvayim? Says the Gemara, look at the Tanya. Liachem palasa shel sancheriv yatsa Chizkiyahu. So we know the famous ma'aser that happened with Chizkiyahu, that he was surrounded, and there was a famine in the city, and Chizkiyahu said, we're going to wait and see what happens. Malach Elokim went out. We saw Gemara at the end of Chelik, killed a tremendous amount of people, 172, a huge nest. And everything, they found a bounty of food there from the troops that were there, and as a result, the inflation and it alleviated the famine in the city. So now it's speaking, Chizkiyahu goes out, and what does he find? The matzah b'nei malachim, he found princes. Shayoshim b'krone shel zahav. They were sitting in these golden chariots. Hadirin shaloy la'ovid avodah chakavim. He made them make if you want to live, you have to make a neder not to serve avodah zarah. You have to make a neder not to serve avodah zarah. Shneimar bayomahu yeh chamesh orim be'eretz Mitzrayim midabrois sefas Canaan, speaking the language of Canaan. Rashi says, Svas Yisrael hayoshim be'eretz Canaan, the Svas of Yisrael that lives in Eretz Canaan. So he's learning that's Lashon Kodesh. And the end of the pasuk says, Nishboyim Hashem tzvakos. So he made them swear that that they wouldn't be serve avodah zarah, and then he let them live. So this is what Chizkiyahu came out, and this is what he found. Halchu l'Alexandria shel Mitzrayim. They went to Alexandria and Mitzrayim. This is how Rameh is learning the pasuk. These people who had sworn not to do avodah zarah, they went to Alexandria, not Chanya. These princes that survived the massacre of Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Ubanu mizbeach, they built a mizbeach. Vehelu alav l'shem shemayim, and they brought kavanas of l'shem shemayim. Shneimar bayomahu yeh mizbeach l'Hashem b'soch eretz Mitzrayim. Okay, now the pasuk there says Ir haheres. I think, let me make sure I told you the right pasuk. Yeah. Ir haheres ye omar le'echos. So we want to know when it says one of those 5 cities, they were called Ir haheres, the city of Heres. Ma Ir haheres ye omar le'echos. What does it mean that they'll be called the city of Heres? Kidemetargem Rav Yosef, like Rav Yosef is metargem. Karta de Beis Shemesh, the city of Beit Shemesh, the Asid l'mei Chorev, that is going to be destroyed is Amer the Hichadimihon, is one of the five cities. Right. So one of the five cities is Heres, guys, is the lashon is the lashon of Shemesh, Beis Shemesh. Heres is. I'll tell you what I think. In if by your Yeshua's keva, it says that Timnas Cheres. He was buried in Timnas Cheres, and they wrote on his kever, Chaval al Adam shehemenes hachama umuto bakever. Woe is the person who stopped the sun and he's in the kever. And the cheres means there was a tamuna, there was a picture, cheres, of the sun on his grave. And they said, Chaval al Adam, that stopped the sun, umuto bakever. So you have a beautiful tzushtel, which just popped into my mind, thank you Hashem, between cheres and heres, right? He had it in the Nakuda. It was called Timnas Cheres. But really, it was Cheres. That's called Beit Shemesh, guys, right? That was the lashon of Beit Shemesh. That's what we were saying, Beit Shemesh. Thank you, Hashem. Umay de'er hacheres listen to Shimshahu. How do you know it's a lashon of Shemesh? Dichsiv ha'oimel hacheres lo yizrach. He tells the sun and it doesn't shine. So you see that what? It's Timnas Cheres. Okay. So you see that the Gemara now is going to discuss the like Chizkiyahu had influence over these people that they found in the chariots. The Gemara is going to discuss Hevi banai meirachaik ubenaisai miktsei aretz. It says, the pasuk says, you're going to bring my sons from a distance and the daughters from miktsei aretz, the ends of the world, ends of the earth. Hevi banai meirachaik. What does that mean? Amar Rav Huna elu golia shel bavel. This refers to the Golis Bavel. Shedaitam yusheves aleim kibonim. That the people, their das, they were miyushiv like bonim. Rashi brings that boys are calmer than girls. I say the girls have much more to worry about. So boys are calmer. So the daita of Golis was of Bavel was not such a severe Golis in terms of being bent out of shape. Shedaitim yesheves lav kibonim. Ubanoisai miktsei aretz. What does that mean? Elu golius shel sharu. That's the rest of the people not in Bavel. Shein daitim yesheves aleim kibonis. Amar Rav Abba by Rav Chisda, Amar Rav Chisda, Vimila Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav, Mitzur vi'at Kartigni, from the Sur they touch tire till Kartigni, Makir Nes Yisrael Vesavin Shavishmayim. These Goyim, there again, this is the tzushtel of the Gemara that Chizkiyahu had influence on the Goyim. These areas, the Gemara is telling us, these areas, the Goyim, they recognize the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Makinas Yisrael, they recognize the Jews. Vesavin Shemayim. This is in this area. Umitzur klape Marav. However, from Tzur towards the Ma'ariv to the west side, Mutagine klape Mizrach, and from Kardigni to the east. So you see that Tzur was to the west of Kartigni, and Kartigni was to the east of Tzur. Ein Makinas Yisrael v'Leisavin Shemayim. They don't recognize it. Esvei, you say they don't recognize Hashem. Rav Simi Barchia l'Rav. Yes, Rav Simi Barchia to Rav. Mimizrach Shemesh ad Mevoyoi, from the rising of the sun till its setting. Gadol Shemi Bagoyim. Right? My name is great among the Goyim. Muktar Mugosh Lishmi Umincha Tahira. Every place you'll find a Tyrus, and you'll find what? You'll find some Mincha. So you see that something Kabbanis, you'll find that the Goyim recognize Hashem. Even from Kartigni to this side, they recognize Hashem. So Amalei, so Rav said, Simiat, you're Simi? Right, you're Simi? The Kari Le'elokah. In other words, they recognize Hashem. They call them the gods of gods, but they recognize others as well. They recognize other Goyim as well. Nice Rashi here, guys. Simiat, 3 lines down. Simiat, Bitmiya. Atahu Simi Chacham Gadol. You're such a big person, and you ask me such a question? So, Rav Lehoya Zoikef Einov. Rav never looked up. Elakaishan Kol Shah Mishum Tznius. And therefore he couldn't look at him. See me out, you see me. Since he could look at me, he said, see me out, you see me? So according to the first shot, he knew who it was, and he's going ahead about describing your kashas in this kind of kasha. And the second one, he just wants to know who it is, because he's asking such a question. So what was his answer? The Kari Le'elokah, they call God, they call Kadosh Baruch Hu the God of gods. But in Achinami, they do recognize him. The Chalmokom Mukto Mugash Lashmi. That was the next part of the pasuk. The Chalmokom Salket Aitach. Every place that they go ahead, every place they burn Kabbanis HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Salket Aitach. So Amar Shmuel ben Achmeni, Amar Yonasan, So it doesn't refer to what? To Goyim. It refers to Talmidei Chachamim ha'oiskim b'Torah b'chol makom. This pasuk says b'chol makom mukta mugash l'shmi. It's not speaking about kabbanis. It's speaking about Torah, which is we're going to see is comparable to bringing of kabbanis. The bringing of Torah, which is comparable to bringing rabbanis. Amar Shmuel Banachmeni Amar Beinison. Elu Talmidei Chachamim ha'oiskim b'Torah b'chol makom. B'chol makom mani aleihem, says the Kodesh Baruch Hu, kilu maktirim magishu l'shmi. I feel like they're bringing kabbanis to me. They're bringing kabbanis to me. So that's the statement of Shmuel Banachmeni. The pasuk said, "Umincha tohira." What do you mincha tohira? Zeh halemi Torah b'Torah. A person who learns Torah b'Torah. What does that mean? Everyone learns Torah. Noisi yishav akach lami Torah. We have machlokes in the Gemara, Chavtes and Kedushin. What should a person do? This is a person b'Torah, meaning he takes care of his physical worries, and he gets married. So he learns b'Torah. He doesn't have to worry about tumah. Shira malois. Hine Baruch Hu es Hashem kol oivdei Hashem oimdei beis Hashem baleilos. My baleilos. What does it mean baleilos? So Amr Yochanan al elu talmidei chacham moeskim b'Torah balayla. Now he's speaking about oimdei beis Hashem. Oimdei beis Hashem l'chayr is speaking about doing the avodah. Oimdei beis Hashem. Baleilos, you don't do the avodah. Avodah is also by night. You can't do the avodah at night. Elamaz people oisik b'Torah balayla. Mala aleim ka'asav kilu asukim b'avodah. I consider as if they do the avodah. So again, this comparison to what that Torah has something to do with kabbanis, something to do with the base Hamikdash. Just a Meister Meir Simcha. Meister Meir Simcha. Meir Simcha was 83 years old. He was holding up. His wife had died already, so they had a bacha sleep in his house. They would take turns. He shouldn't be alone. So they sat down Friday night to eat, and Kedarka, the meal must have taken 10, 15 minutes. And the Sameach sat down to learn, and he was learning, and it's getting late, and this bacha wants to go to sleep, and our Sameach's learning, so he can't go to sleep. Finally, the candle goes out, and the bacha lies down. He says, Baruch Hashem. As he's lying down, he hears a noise. What's the noise? But Meir Simcha is schlepping the table. He schleps it, and he climbs on the table, and he has the sefer by the window. The moon's coming in. He should learn by the moon. That's the way he became Rabbi Simcha. Tell you. So therefore, Isaac was Rabbi the big union of learning Torah at night. Pasuk says, "La'olam zois al Yisrael." Moshe Shlomo Melech. He builds the Beis Hamikdash. He sends a message to Hiram. Hiram is the king of Tsur, and he sends a message to bring different things and so on and so forth. It says, "La'olam zois al Yisrael." This will be for the Bnei Yisrael. It says, "What does that mean?" Sem Mizbeach Banoi. This refers to the Mizbeach that's built. Umichal Sar Hagadol Oimed Umakrev Alav Carbon. And Michael, he's Makrev Karbonis, right? And therefore, even though it's not La'olam, the Mizbeach is not La'olam, in Shemayim there is a Mizbeach that every day they're being Makrev. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Elu Talmidei Chachamim Mo'iskim B'Hilchas Avoda. This refers to Talmidei Chachamim Mo'iskim Avoda. Malo Aleim Kasav Kilo Nivna B'Mikdash V'Yimehem. V'Oisk again, the same idea. It's Ilu Wat that the Beis Hamikdash is built in your days. It's not Ki'ilu built. It's like it was never destroyed. Ki'ilu Nivna. In other words, the Beis Hamikdash. It doesn't say it was like it was there. It was there when a person is Oisik B'Torah. There's a very very geschmacka gra that I think we can sushel it together. We say every day, Yehiratzon L'Fanecha Hashem Elokeinu, Ve'elech Avaseinu, Sheyibone Beis Hamikdash B'Her B'Amenu V'Sein Chelkeinu B'Sarasecha. What does that mean? Sheyibone Beis Hamikdash V'Sein Chelkeinu B'Sarasecha. Guys, you should build a Beis Hamikdash, and therefore we should get a chelik in Torah. Says the Vilna Gaon, when the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, there was a loss of Torah, guys. When the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, there was a loss of Torah. So we daven every day that the Beis Hamikdash should be rebuilt to give us a chelik back in Torah. So you see from here, from this, but we say every day, the connection between what? The Beis Hamikdash and Torah. Memela, people learning Torah, right? It's Ki'ilu, but a Beis Hamikdash b'yamav. In other words, Torah is the connection. Ki'ilu, you're doing the Avodah. That metaphysical connection between learning Torah in the Beis Hamikdash, I think the explanation is not so difficult. We say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu lives in Torah. We spoke about often about HaKadosh Baruch Hu that there's different halakim in Torah, right? There's the asiyah of Torah, the mitzvahs you're supposed to do, and then there's the neshama of Hashem. We spoke out of Torah Chaim in Sanhedrin that Hakadosh Baruch Hu gave us certain mitzvahs that were never supposed to be done. Ben Soru Morer was never supposed to be done. Irani Dachas was never happened. But some way, somehow, in these, lick the neshama kaviyachol, the neshama of Hashem. So you see that Torah and Hashem. So Memela, Hashem lives in Hashem's dwelling on earth, the Beis Hamikdash. The Torah is synonymous that. By Ibn Sarah and Vayom Moshe, Kuma Hashem. When the Orim went up, what did Moshe say? Kuma Hashem, Hashem get up. Says the Meshech Chachma. You see HaKadosh Baruch Hu lives what? By the Torah. So it's not such a, it's nice to see one Chazal after another Chazal making this connection between Torah and the Beis Hamikdash. Kaviyachol, this is all it all brings us close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And therefore, we should be Zoicha, B'her B'yameinu, B'senchel Kena B'ser V'secha, we should have to be Zoicha. And it's a beautiful thing to finish off this Masechta. You learned a beautiful Masechta Menachos, right? And how it was all about Kabbanis, and we're finishing off that learning Torah and learning the halachas of Kabbanis is synonymous, as we're going to see in a second. Reish Lakish, says Reish Lakish, Mai Dichsiv, what does it mean? Zois Torahs la'oila, la mincha v'la chatas v'la asham, li chatas, li oila, right? What does that mean? Kaloisik b'Torah, if you're icing the Torah, as I just said, kilu hikriv oila mincha chatas v'asham. If you're icing in those halachas, it's like you bought those Kabbanis. Right? The Gemara, Amarava, Haila oila, la mincha, oila u mincha mi boile. It shouldn't say to an oila, to a mincha. It should say oila u mincha. Forget the lamed. It says Ela Marava. You know what the lamed stands for? Like loy. Kol oisik b'Torah is einot tzarech loy la oila. You won't need an oila. Loy la chatas. You won't need a chatas. Loy la mincha. You won't need a mincha. Why? Loy la asham. Because by learning Torah, it's mechaper for any averis. Amrab Yitzchak, my dechsiv. Zois Torah hachatas or zois Torah asham. I shouldn't say it's mechaper for averis. Maybe it stops him doing averis. I'm not sure. Anyway, either way, Amrab Yitzchak, my dechsiv. Zois Torah chatas v'zois Torah asham. Koloisik b'Torah chatas kilu hikriv chatas. V'koloisik b'Torah asham kilu hikriv asham. You say every day. You say Eizem Mekavish L'Zvachim. You say the parsha, and you say Oile. You have to say He Ratzon that it should be like I did this. He Ratzon it should be like this. He Ratzon it should be like this. Says the Mishnah. Nema ba'oilas behema isha reich nechayach LaHashem. It says by the oilas. It says what? Isha reich LaHashem. Now we're learning Leilu Nishmas Eliezer Yehuda ben Shol HaKoyen. Eli Kahan Leilenu was nifta at a young age, and he went to the best in Shamayla. And yesterday, and we're learning Leilu Nishmas Eliezer Yehuda ben Shol HaKoyen. Nema ba'oilas behema isha reich nechayach, and it says uba. Now, why does it say the same thing? And it says Hashem. In other words, you might think, I saw Rashi says, you might think if you use different names, it's that you're bringing carbon to a different deity, so by saying one thing, Hashem, it's all to Hashem. Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. Amrav Zeira, Ma'ikra, Misuka Shnasa Oived. Sweet is the sleep of the Oived. In Ma'atrim Harbe Yochal. V'adabayava Ama Mehacha. Bir voice hatoiva Rabu Ochleha. Uma Kishroin Lebailov. Ki im Rois Einov. Right, let's see Rashi, guys. The key is Kim Rois Einov. Uma Kishroin Lebolov. You're bringing Karbonis. La Kodesh Baruch Hu. The Baal HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What does he get out of it? Kim Rois Einov. Shazem Eskavan L'Toiva. He doesn't. Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't need anything fancy. He doesn't need. But all he cares about is what's in there. Rois Einov. What he sees. In other words, he cares what you see. Therefore, it doesn't make a difference. But Kim Rois Einov. He doesn't need tremendous things. It's fancy kabbanis. It doesn't make a difference. It's what your kavanah is. Tanya Reb Shimon ben Azai Borei Maksiv Pasha Kabbanis Shleinema Behen. Loikel v'loikim el Hashem shloite pischapel lebalidin lach loik v'neimar b'shor hagas yisherech noyach b'oif hadak yisherech nichayach v'mincha yisherech nichayach le'milcha echan amarba v'echan amayim v'atshichav nisum eshamayim. In other words, Kadosh Baruch Hu accepts anything, no matter what it is. B'shem etoma lachilu tzarich maybe kaviyachol Hashem needs lachila Talmud loymar in erev right? Everything belongs to me. You're not giving me anything that doesn't. Long pasuk, that to me is all the chayas of the yar, behemoth bahari, elef yudati, kol oif harim, v'ziv sadai imadi, hoichel basa evarim v'dam asudim eshter, le'imati alechem ziv chay kadesh shetayme eser et sinai, v'yaser et saini. I didn't say you should go ahead and eser et saini that you should do my, no, I didn't give it to you that you should give me that I should do your ratzin. Oh no, it's give me tit for tat. You do this to me, I'll do it for you. This no. You're not being zavech for me. You're doing it what? You're doing it for you. You're not doing it what? You're not doing it for me. Don't think for a second that I need any of this. Don't think it's for your ratzin. It's for your ratzin, not for me. I think maybe we should go ahead and leave this for the end. Okay, we'll leave this for the end, Bez Hashem, for the Siyam, when we can make the Siyam. And Bez Hashem, on Friday, tomorrow night, since figure I'll give you guys time to get together, we're going to go ahead and 9:45. We're going to begin Masechta Chulin. Look it over Shabbos. It's very, very, very Geschmack Masechta, and I'm very excited to be able to learn it together.